Hi, welcome to Atheist Encounter Podcast. Do you want to know about atheists and their encounters? Then you're in the right place. Alright, so stay tuned as we are about to embark on a journey with another atheist. Hi, welcome to the Atheist Encounter Podcast. My name is Fabres and I'm the host. Today we have a guest on our show, but before we introduce our guest, I would like to introduce the guest co-host. And the guest co-host is in the person of Mr. Adeoye. Mr. Adeoye, can you say hi?
I'm glad to be here once again. I really appreciate the invite. Thank you very much, Mr. Fabres.
All right, thank you so much. We are glad you honored our invitation. Also, we have our regular co-host in the person of Mr. Brendan. Are you there?
Hello everyone. Let's do this again.
Let's go, as usual. All right, thank you for that, Mr. Brendan. All right, and we have our guest on the show today, and our guest is in the person of, actually I'll let our guest introduce herself. So can you go ahead, please?
Hi Fabres. Hi Brendan. Thank you guys for having me on the show. My name is Jackson.
All right, Jackson, you're welcome to the show, and sincerely, we are glad to have you on the show today.
Thank you very much. It's a duty to be here. Thank you very much.
Okay, so without further ado, let's get straight to the show. So, Jackson, can you tell us a bit about your journey away from religion?
Okay, thank you for giving me the floor. My journey, I would say, has been a steady one. I got detached from religion at a very young age, so it gave me time to, critically look at religion as a whole and hold a position. I wouldn't say it has been smooth, but I wouldn't say it had a lot of obstacles as well, considering my distance from religion at a very young age. Right now, I'm an atheist through and through, and I know a lot of persons are willing to accept it what it is right now.
How was it in your family? How was the religious aspect?
My family was a little bit religious, but I would say they were not too religious. Maybe they are even more religious right now than when we were younger. At least I can say we never had the morning fellowship or evening fellowship in my house, but we were quite popular or involved in church activities back then when I was still going to church. My mom and other siblings, members of my family, are still religious and hold different positions, do different things in church. But when I was younger, as spirituality goes back then, we were as involved as we could be, the usual prayers and all of that.
I'll hand you over to our co-host, Brendan.
Okay.
Did you have doubts as a religious person before you actually became religious?
Okay, thank you for that question. And but like I said earlier, I was a little bit distant from religion at a younger age, say 9, 10. I was actually banned from going to church by my dad. So the years prior to that, I was very much involved in religious activity, and I would say then I didn't really have any issue against religion. But after the ban, and so I resumed going to church around when I was like 16, thereabouts, me fresh out of secondary school. I resumed going to church, and that was where I would say I started having questions like, why do I have to, go to a school to learn how to speak in tongues? I thought it was supposed to be supernatural. Why is the Bible full of atrocities against those that are not Christians, or those that are not Israelites? Questions like that. So it was coming up here and there, but because I have lived for about 5-6 years without being active in religious activities, I was already distant from the church itself at that point. So it didn't take too much for me to say, oh no, this is not the way to go, or this isn't anything that makes sense at that point in time. So probably after my tertiary institution, I took a step back slowly, saying that at this point I do not want to be involved in religious activities as the case may be.
All right, thank you for that response to my question. I like how you took your time to narrate and explain that. Thank you very much. I'll hand you over now to our guest co-host, Mr. Aderoye.
My question goes this way. Were there any misconceptions that you had about atheism when you were religious?
I would say no. I never even knew about the concept atheism. So I would say no, there was no misconception per se. In fact, I was even worried that, am I sure I'm fine? That everyone is moving this way, me, I'm moving this way. So, but no, as at then, I never had any misconception, because I didn't even know who an atheist was or what atheism is as it is.
Okay, thank you very much. I love your answers. Are just short and brief and straight to the point. I get that. All right. How did living religion affect your moral compass or your sense of purpose in life? Did you feel a need to redefine those areas after your transition?
So maybe my case might be a little bit different from the general populace, considering that I left it. I feel like I left it at 9-10 years old. So the defining stages of my life, I didn't really have religion to rely on it. I didn't really use religion as a guide to say, oh, this is what I should do or this is what I shouldn't do. I would say I relied on my parents' ideas of right and wrong. Maybe their ideas was stemmed from their religious beliefs. But my dad, to me, with what I know now, I feel like my dad was an agnostic. He wasn't there, he wasn't here, and he didn't actually say there is no God, but he never went to church except for one day like that. So he never went to church, but he never denounced anything about, God and that sort of setting. So for me, I feel like my morals were intact. It was absent. It was not built on religion. So even when I said, oh, I am no longer religious, or I would no longer go the Christian way, I still have this sense of this is the way this thing should be done. Agreed, I am not a conformist, so I do not do things generally because people do it. So I think that has also shaped my morals. I always, why should I give someone a cup? I must have thought it through before I arrived at the position of giving the person a cup. So when I left religion, it didn't really affect how I had, built my life at that point. My morals were in place. I wouldn't cheat someone because I don't want to be cheated. I wouldn't rob someone because, of course, I wouldn't want my property to be stolen. So I think for me, it wasn't built on religion per se. So I don't really have any major shifts when I identified as, oh, I'm an atheist, or oh, this is who I am all this while. I just got to know the name, stuff like that.
All right, thank you very much for your answers. I really, really appreciate it. Now I'm going to move the question back to Mr. Fabest.
All right, thank you, Mr. Adeoye, for that question. And Ms. Jackson, thank you so much for your response to that question as well, and that of Brendan. I would like to ask this question as well. Well, how do you find meaning in life without the belief in a God to give meaning to your life? How do you do that?
My purpose in life had always been, this is the goal, this is what I'm achieving, I set out to achieve it. This is where I want to be in 5 years, and I work towards it. Maybe it's an individual thing, maybe I don't know where it came from, but I try not to worry myself too much. And if I say, oh, in 10 years time, for me to be a host on X like Mr. Fabers, I need to start learning what needs to be done to be able to, host a show on X. So I take that step to learn the modalities of being able to host a show. Next year, I try to get across to you to say, okay, what am I supposed to do? So that's how I navigate. I don't operate on, oh, this thing is going to come by faith. So I didn't really lose focus in life when I say, oh, I'm no longer religious. Like when I said, oh, with my chest, I'm not religious. I didn't really lose focus because I've always been, this is where I'm going to. You need to pass through A, B, C, D to get there. So it was very easy and very chilled for me. I would say, yeah.
All right, thank you, Jackson, for that. This simply shows that you get to create your own purpose, and then you go for it. I have a follow-up question to that. Okay, so in creating your own goals and meaning, how do you handle disappointments when in the pursuit of your goals and objectives? Let's say you meet a situation that is actually bigger than you. How do you handle such? Religious people will like, okay, God is going to help me. They kind of console themselves with the idea that God is going to, take charge. But then, as an atheist, how do you handle disappointment in the pursuit of your goals?
I think I was actually expecting that question after my explanation just now. So thank you for that. I ride on the fact that I have done my best, or I did my best, and if it doesn't turn out as expected, then I didn't do well enough to be in that position or to acquire whatever I had set out to do. So that's how I feel like I work towards what I want, but I do not really put all my expectations in one basket, that when it crashes I'm devastated. I also know that anything could go wrong. Despite the best measures you've put in place, anything could go wrong. I strongly believe there's no one that leaves their house intending to be involved in an accident. But despite you checking if your car is in good order, despite you making sure you're very mindful of the road, someone could be drunk on the road, and it is no concern of yours, but that person's carelessness could affect you. So some people will say, oh, you don't have faith, why are you struggling? But I feel like living life like this, saying that do your best, make sure you dot all your I's and cross all your T's, and then life would happen any which way. So that's how I navigate life personally, in my relations with others, my friends, work, and all of that. I try to give my best. I hope for the best. I hope to attain whatever I am trying to get. But then I also understand that there are other factors that are in play that are out of my control.
All right, Jackson, thank you so much for that. Thank you for your response to that question. Let me hand you over to Brandon.
All right, thank you for the mic. I'll just go straight to the point. So let's say you fall in love with someone. You fall in love with someone so deeply, and you plan on being with this person in a long-term relationship. This person is actually religious. Let's say not too religious, but he's religious. And his family is expecting a Christian marriage, which is a white wedding. Will you be willing to do that for the sake of love?
I strongly believe, in answer to that question, I strongly believe that people of like minds are meant to be together. So I think it would be difficult for me to be with someone who is particular about getting married in the church. So I, for one, cannot even be interested in a pastor. I can't be interested in someone that goes for videos. I can't be interested in someone that goes for ministrations and all of those things. I can be with a Christian, but it has to be at a very liberal level. I do not intend getting married in the church, and I believe that wherever I am going to end up with would be of a similar mindset. Maybe the person would even be quite African and not the European religion that we practice. Might be a Christian by name, but should be liberal enough to know that if we follow his culture or my culture, as the case may be, because I also, look at my cultural thing somehow. So, but if we are to follow things culturally, there wouldn't be any need to have a Christian wedding, because I don't know if I mentioned it earlier that I tend to question a lot of things. So even my culture is not stamped on me, hook, line, thinker. So, but because I know that I'm getting married to another person, and I don't think it's actually possible for me to get someone that would be just like me, that I would like, the person would like me. Of course, there are people that are just like me, but am I attracted to this person? Do I want to be with this person? So my chances of meeting someone that is exactly like me is a little bit slim. So there needs to be, give and take. So he might be very keen on the cultural thing. So I am willing to bend for that one, but not this, what do they call it? The church wedding and the like, no. So I am more of the legal part of it. Marriage that is registered by the government, I'm fine by it. That one alone is fine by me. But I understand that I'm getting married to another person who might be keen on culture, maybe not too keen, but he just wants to do this the traditional way. So I'm willing to go that route for the person.
All right, so to get this straight, let me ask this follow-up. If you are willing to respect that person, this person respects your opinion of getting a government registered marriage, and he says in return, will you respect his own opinion on getting married in the church? As a sign of respect for these parents, will you move out of your way, make an exception to do that for him?
I personally am not big on traditional marriages and religious marriages. So I am already giving him one by having the traditional marriage. I'm already conceding to something he wants by being involved in the traditional marriage, at least the bit that I would allow fly. So I'm already giving it. For me alone, I do not want it at all. I don't know if you get. So the legal bit is all that counts for me. That's the only. So far in my life, the government had a huge influence in me. My WAEC result today is by virtue of the government, and still, the government has a say. Whatever school I want to go to can go to the government to verify. My BSc today is still the government. Even though I went to school, it was submitted to Senate and it was approved by the government. My master's today, same thing. So that is the authority that I respect in this case. So I would like to have the marriage in line with that. So I know I can present, if they say, if they need the items to say, are you married? I just bring out my certificate, that's all. The traditional rights and the religious doesn't really hold water for me. So if I am having a traditional marriage, sorry, from having a traditional marriage, it's because of my partner and nothing else. So you can't be asking for two. I don't know if you're following me. You can't be asking for two. So if he wants the Christian, in fact, the Christian one is out of it. He has to just manage his family, or which means we are not compatible enough to get married.
It's a no-no for white, it's a no-no for Christian wedding. So it's just that
Yeah.
you can manage and compensate with a traditional marriage. All right, thank you very much for that response. Have you been able or have you been willing to help others escape the fallacies of religion?
In respect to me, since I left religion, if I have actually helped in, I wouldn't say I have intentionally helped anyone, because I don't think it's a crusade, and I feel like it's a let me not use the word battle, but it's like a fight that it takes the person in it to want to leave. So no, I've not been about trying to convince people to leave religion, but I have had conversations with religious people when they seem to not accept the fact that I am irreligious. I have asked questions, prompted them, this thing you're doing, this and that, like that. And I believe some persons have gone back to think about it. I think my siblings have as well. So yeah, my younger siblings have as well. Some of my friends have actually said, oh, this thing you're saying is correct. I have one that I can say was actually religious when we met, but he's no longer I don't think he's an atheist. Let's say he's agnostic now, but then he leans maybe more towards the atheist part of it. But his dad is a pastor, so I'm sure it had some sort of hold on him on why he's not like out openly. I believe that there are persons that I might have had discussed with and they would have talked about it. Maybe we never met after that day, maybe we met online. But to say I have intentionally been trying to get people out of it, no, my family is here. Aside the ones that I did, I'm leaning towards my idea. They're actually Christians, they actually serve and find as Christians, they go to church, they pray, even if they ask questions, but they are still Christians. So I don't see any reason why I want to start going about constituting, should I call it a nuisance? Because I feel like that's what religious people do. They're always disturbing somebody. I wouldn't want to be that kind of person. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much for that response. Being an atheist, you are aware that there is no God that will either punish or judge you or reward you after death. So how do you treat fellow humans? How's your morals towards fellow humans when you are being wronged or offended?
So I believe we're humans and humans make mistakes. I forgive unintentional wrongs. If it was a mistake, you never intended to hurt me, I do not hold a grudge against it. But you can't come at me and be expecting forgiveness. Yeah. So if I know someone intentionally set out to hurt me, I would take actions to cut that person out of my life, or if it is where I'm supposed to pay that person back in their own coin, then I'll do just that. I do not forgive intentional wrongs, and I would say that I have been wrong and I have forgiven a lot, but because I realize that these wrongs were not intentional. But if I find out or if I know that it's an intentional wrong and it's within my power to pay you back, I'll do just that. It's only if it is out of my hands and there's no way I can get back at you, that's when I might. But it will still be in my mind though. I don't forgive. So which means in that case, I wouldn't even want to have anything to do with you, because you don't mean me well at all.
All right, thank you very much on how you explained that. I'll be handing the mic over now to Mr. Deoye, our guest co-host.
All right, thank you very much. Miss Jackson, your answers were somewhere deep, somewhere a little bit brutal, but I understand where you're coming from anyway. To be honest, I think some people don't deserve to be forgiven. Yeah, I genuinely believe that. What advice would you give to someone who is struggling with doubts about their faith but fears leaving their religious community?
My honest opinion is take your time. Walk through it. Do not be in a hurry. Since you're already having doubts, which means you're not going to make decisions on whims or on religious beliefs. So the doubt is already there. And I believe in your decision making that affects your life, you're not going to make them on a foundation that you're already doubting. So on that note, just take your time, walk through that doubt and see where you come. If you need guidance, you talk to others, people you think can assist. And if you're already having doubts, I believe that there is one person in your life that can be of assistance in that space. So if you're having doubts, take your time, do not be in a hurry. I feel like it's an individual race with the amount of indoctrination that we've been through. It will take a lot for us to get out of it. So I do not advise anybody to say, oh, today I'm religious. No, I'm not religious, We'd probably jump back to being religious. So take your time, walk through it, ask questions, make research, do your findings. And then when you're satisfied with the answer you've gotten, your answer could lead you back to being religious, which is also fine because it's already what you're used to. But I believe that for someone that had doubt at any point in time about religion, the person is a smart person, and the person, even though the person might be religious, the person would make informed decision. I'm saying this informed decision because I know there are people that make decisions about their life based on what they think God said, or they think their pastor is telling them about their God. But someone that has had doubt and walked through that doubt, even if the person ends up being religious, the person would still be able to make informed decisions about themselves. And if the person ends up being religious, that's even better. You know that whatever you're doing, you're looking after yourself, you're thinking about your well-being, you're thinking about what's best for you, what's best for your family, not what one pastor, one imam, or one person somewhere said you're supposed to do. You thought it through and you arrived at that position. So yes, take your time, walk through it, sort out your challenges, your confusion, ask questions, read, research, and I believe we should get to a position that is fine with you, and you'll be able to live your life and those things. That's how I say it.
All right, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. I would like to ask another question. Is there anything about religion that you think we can in a way adjust to fit reality? You understand, like not like discard it all in general, or do you feel we should discard everything about religion in general? What is your opinion on that? Do you think maybe we can keep some, discard the rest, or discard everything in general?
My typical self would say discard everything in general, but then I know that the tolerance level of other individuals are not same as mine. Some are higher, some are lesser, and some of these persons actually hold on to religion just because of hope. And from where we are coming from, we are not in an environment that offers us the best of the best. We are actually struggling in this environment. It's why it's very obvious when we see our brothers that travel out of the country, our sisters that travel out of the country. When they get over there, we don't pray as much as we do because they have a system that works over there. So yeah, the things we pray for are at the barest minimum. So those persons are holding on to it. So that's hope for them. I feel like we can scrap it out and give them other reasons to be hopeful about, but I don't know if we are at that point yet. But for me, take it out entirely. Let's people be logical about what is happening. Let people be realistic. And the fact that they can easily tell us that a snake swallowed something in this country, it's riding on our religious belief. It's because we believe the folklores in the Bible and the Quran and the like. It's why our government will easily tell us, our Minister of Defense or whoever that is supposed to be in charge of the safety of the country, we're telling us that he's putting our security in the hands of God. Nobody said God wasn't there. According to you guys, the God has always been there. Then they made you, they made you the Minister of Defense or Security. Yes, they made you to be in that position. You were appointed to be in that position, to be in charge of our security, and you're still leaving us again to carry us to go and meet God. Why? And that person can only make that statement, and there was no uproar. We were just accepting of it because, this is what, at the end of the day, God will solve everything. You do bad, you mess up, just ask for forgiveness. Everything will. I'm sure people don't remember that a snake swallowed how many million then. So for me,
I can't even remember. But it's a lot of money.
Exactly. Yeah, you understand. So for me, I feel like take this thing out of the way. It's corrupting us. Our youths, our kids are in school, in church praying. In fact, in school, people are arguing about, we need to be having morning prayer, evening prayer. Our movies are also showing it, where parents are going for PTA meetings, and one person is saying the children need to believe they read. You understand? Frivolous things. Our contemporaries are involving the kids in electrical engineering, they are mechanics. China, for instance, the kids in the classroom, kindergarten, nursery school, they are playing with electronics. The Bluetooth we use every day. They are not praying for anything to happen. But what is this pastor that has a prodigy that maybe that guy is not to 15, maybe 13 years? They say, Aisha, old men, our fathers and mothers will be falling and receiving. That person is supposed to be in a lab somewhere.
That's true.
Although that child is going to make money eventually, but his mates are also somewhere kabashing. One person is dying in the choir, that his goal in life is to sing praise to God. One person is not focusing on his business because Monday to Thursday he must go for night vigil. How can you go for night vigil through the week and expect to be productive in your business or workplace? How? Your mate is at the store by 6 o'clock because they want to make morning sales. You don't go night vigil. You go come back by 5. You go say you want to sleep 2 hours. Then you sleep for 2 hours and then you get to the market by 10. By 10, whoever is there has already made their sales for the day. And then taking their money home, gone to another market to buy something else. It's that time you start going to struggle with everybody again to make sales. Because I don't know, we should all look at it now. We know people that goes to church. We have churches in our environments now. In a week, they have services 4 times a week. They still spend Monday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at church on Sundays. But they are still involved in activities. Orchards, cell meetings, interesting. You always have one activity to do in the church. Time that you should invest in something else. So for me, it's scrap the thing entirely. Let's know the thing that we're doing, but I'm sure we are not there yet. I don't even know if in this our country we will get there.
So like, when do you think we get there? Like how many years from now?
In this our country or where?
Yeah, this is our country.
My brother, is very hard though. I can't even give a timeline. Unless something very drastic happens, I honestly cannot give a timeline. And what would it take for something drastic to happen? We are very tolerant and we adapt very well. Take the cost of fuel now. People are still going to work. Everywhere just rice is about 100K. We are still buying it. We are still looking for a way to survive. So I don't know where our breaking point is. I don't know what would, and considering a lot of us are still religious, I don't see them seeing it as a problem. It is also on the bench or at the outliers that see it as a problem. And I can categorically say that we are not the majority. So it will take the majority to see it as a problem. When we those majorities see it as a problem, when they are praying to survive. I don't know. So I don't think it's an easy ordeal, but I would do what I can do in my space. I am sure everybody is doing what they can do in their space. We'll do our best to raise our kids, differently. We'll do our best to make sure our kids are strategic and realistic about life. But then we are very much aware that our kids will go out to meet others that they are not raised that way. So that's also one thing we should prepare them about. And so it's not going to be an easy ordeal, but the drop of water makes the ocean. We should start whatever we can do. That's how I see it. And this podcast this podcast is one step in that direction, because it's going to get to that a position where people will tune in to listen to what. And it's a digital world now. Anyone can go online and see something that will pique their interest, and with that, I believe more persons would take a step back to look at how they've been raised. And I think there's this slogan that we were going around, like you need to unlearn and relearn. So people are actually unlearning a lot of things that we were taught when we were younger to now, relearn it and how to go about it. So it's a step-by-step process. But when we are going to get there, my dear, I don't know, honestly.
Yeah, thank you very much. I totally support your reply there. I mean, I really believe Nigeria will be a better place if religion is discarded totally. I do. Thank you very much. Mr. Fabres, can you take over, please? Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Jackson. My question goes like this. What has been the most challenging aspect of you being irreligious?
The most challenging aspect of me being irreligious, there's no most challenging aspect. And I think it's because it is me. I don't think it's so for other people. So I'm a very stubborn person. When the issue of me not wanting to go to church prior to when I even knew who an atheist was, issue of me not wanting to go to church came up. It was just like a normal argument between me and my mom. Like I said, my dad was, although not, he didn't apparently come up to say, well, there is no God. He never said there was a God too. He prayed occasionally by himself. He answered amen to prayers and all of those things. So that argument was usually mainly between me and my mom. It usually goes like, you must go to church or you can't go to church. But that argument to me wasn't even as serious as prior arguments that we had, So it was just like, I just took it in stride. They go church this girl, we go church today. So for me, my family operates, I don't know if it's because I not agree, but my family has, this is my sister, whether she goes to church or not, this is who we are, this is who she is, this is who we are family. And at my workplace, I don't go about broadcasting that I am irreligious. And I generally have in mind personal that I don't know how to explain it. But when people see me, they don't see me as someone nice, because I try not to smile too much. But when people get to talk to me, oh, this person is a nice person. So when it gets to the point that you find out that I am irreligious, you try to wrap your head around the fact that this nice person does not believe in God. So because of whatever relationship we've had, whatever discussion we've had, I've been of assistance to you, you've been of assistance to me, you tend to want to ignore the fact that, so many of them would just resort to, okay, I'll be praying for you, I hope you change. I've not actually received outright animosity from colleagues. Of course, people who looked at me strangely, why is this person not a Christian? Then you will get questions, they go church, not, go traditional uncle, you get those questions. But then my boss at the office had told me that if he had not heard that I was irreligious, that I could have passed for a pastor's daughter. And I was like, how did you deduce that I would be a pastor's daughter? Is it not that I am cool, I'm calm, I'm collected, I don't insult people, I don't backbite at the office, I come, I do my job, I go home, I'm polite with everyone I get. So he's just surprised that someone like me is irreligious. And I was like, how did you expect an irreligious person to come inside and start fighting? He said he just didn't expect this sort of person to be irreligious. So yes, I think my irreligiosity has been taken in stride by me. Maybe it had been a part of my life for a while. Even before I identified as an atheist, I have already been living, oh, this is the sort of life I went to live. So, considering I know the thing for anybody, if you bring it up and it's an issue to you, you know the best thing to do. Stay away from me. So, but if you are able to make peace with it, then we are good. Our relationship continues at its well. But my colleagues, my supervisors, they pray for me. My mom is praying, everybody is praying. I think I should keep praying. When I meet someone new and the person said, they are going to pray for me, I said, just add, your God will be listening to a lot of prayers to convert me. They say I'll change to a pastor one day. If I change, they should know that it's a money-making venture. And I want to make a lot of money. Otherwise, I wouldn't have any reason to change. But that's about it.
All right, it seems like you've not had a lot of troubles with your irreligiosity, unlike other people we've interviewed in this podcast.
I think a lot of persons would have that challenge because they relied on their parents, or they are in a society that they are relying on the society for sustenance. Like I said, when I actually came out openly that, oh, I am an atheist, I think I was already done with university. So maybe I was looking for a job or something, and I got a job. So my life wasn't dependent on anyone. And so that's what I would also advise anybody with doubts, back to Mr. Adeoye's question, anybody with doubt. If you are in a position where you're relying on your parents or the society or whatever to survive, please keep your doubts to yourself and work on it personally. Make the most of whatever assistance you can get and better yourself. Because in this society that we are in, if you're brash with that position, or you are too outspoken with it, you could lose a lot of things. But for me, I think I was already out of my comfort zone where someone was taking care of me. So I was able to, my mom couldn't say, oh, I won't give you food if you don't go to church. I was already, part, I had gone to school, done all of those kind of things. Maybe when I come home for holidays, you say you didn't go to church, oh, I'm not going. But how much can she do? I'm just home for holidays for 1 month or something. So I had some sort of leeway. I don't know how to explain it, but I don't think, I believe everybody's situation is different. So mine is just, like you said, it's just particular to me. But for those that might have doubt, and you're still relying on others for whatever, if it's a job and all of that, please keep your doubts to yourself, work on it privately and personally, because that person that is supposed to give you the contract or the job that would, start you for life might be too religious to actually reason that, oh, this person is saying things different. It doesn't make the person a bad person.
All right, thank you for that. What's the most rewarding aspect of you being an atheist?
Oh, I think it has a lot of reward. For one, I am certain I would never donate my hard-earned property to anyone just because their God said so. And I think that's a very, very huge benefit, because we might know about immediate families, but then the amount of atrocities or the amount of things, let me not use atrocities, the amount of properties that others have lost to these religious entities, I can't even begin to count. The amount of persons that have been impoverished because of religion, I can't even begin to count. So yeah, what my lack of religiosity has done for me is I believe it has given me a platform for me to be the best of myself at every point in time. I just need to be sure that this action I'm taking is, if another person takes this action against me, it is a very fine action, and that's all I need to make decisions about myself. I don't go about defrauding others. I don't go about taking advantage of anyone. So living life like that, I believe that whatever situation comes my way, I tackle it with a clear head. I am not blinded by one magic is going to happen, because I know people that have lost jobs, that have lost contracts because my religion says you should not drink alcohol. You mustn't drink alcohol. That doesn't mean you shouldn't handle a contract from an organization that produces alcohol. Personally, if you do not want to drink alcohol, that's very fine. It's your life and it's a decision to make. But what is stopping you from being a building manager for a new factory? What's your business with whoever wants to drink alcohol? I'm just saying I drink alcohol, but you get the gist. So yeah, that's one advantage. Two is that I am not biased towards anyone. I do not have any enemy because the person is a Christian, or the person is a Muslim, this person is my enemy. No. Everyone is my friend, and so your character towards me is going to define how we're going to turn out in future. And I believe people have also lost out on opportunities because they say, no, I cannot do business with a Muslim person, I cannot do business with a Christian person because this person does not, for whatever reason that they would do. And I'm using Christianity and Islam because in Nigeria, those are the two predominant religions that we have or we practice. Our traditional religions are particular to our place of origin, so it's not that encompassing like Christianity and Islam. My absence from religion has given me, I think, wonderful human networks, wonderful human contact, which I believe that's the premise for anyone to grow. If you can have the money and not know the right people. You can have the money and shut out the right people. You don't have the money, you're still shutting out the right people. So and so that's my one major forming advantage that I think I've gotten out of it. There are others, being able to make decisions for myself personally, without Papa says so or Mama says so, my daddy in the church. And I know that if I happen to get married to anyone, this person wouldn't be relying on my daddy in the Lord, because that's also a major, So if I have a partner that thinks like me, like I said, the probability of me getting someone just exactly like me that I would be attracted to and interested in, to be little listening, but someone that we are on the same wavelength. I think these are two wonderful components to create a wonderful future as well. So yeah, that's how I feel.
Thank you so much for your response to that, Jackson. And I'll hand you over to Brendan. Brendan, are you there?
All right, thank you for the mic, Mr. Fabest. Jackson, what advice will you give to someone like a man who was married when he was still religious? He got married and he had kids, but later found out that religion is a lie. He tries to make his wife see the truth, but she wouldn't. In the aspect of saving his kids from indoctrination, what do you think the man should do since the wife is refusing to let religion go?
Okay, so I would answer this question as a partial person and in respect to the current society that we live in. I want to assume that if he were to be a very religious person prior to now, then he had gotten married to an equally religious lady. If this son is already out of it, then it's possible he wasn't so religious and he didn't actually get married to to a very religious lady. So those are two scenarios. The first one, meaning the lady is very religious, it's a little bit easy. Be in the kids' life as much as you can. Teach them what you want them to know. You don't make it a fight, because if you make it a fight, the more you do it, the more the woman will go to the church and the pastor will tell her that there's a devil in the house that wants to, cause things to happen. So it's a kid, she can also go to church with them. But I know in this society, you might want to enforce the law that, oh, my kids should not go to church. But that will push your wife to find more ways of taking that kid to church. So I don't advise that route. But being in the life of your kids, having the discussion with your wife might not solve it for you if she's a very religious person. So I don't even advise it. But for your kids, for every day they come from church, teach them something different from what you know they learned at church. They are kids, they are always asking questions, and most probably your answers or your teachings would be more interesting than whatever they are learning at church, because at church they can't question anything. At church they are expected to swallow everything hook, line, sinker. So you need to give them different or separate teaching, and it's something, if you want to be intentional about the indoctrination of your kids, you have to be very intentional about it. And I believe that if you go to your wife with it, you can mention it and get a reaction out of her, and maybe that will help you decide. But if you want to go at loggerheads with your wife, it's going to be an issue of some sort. Like when I was banned from going to church, my mom was quite surprised. But the reason why I was banned was acceptable to her. So the reason didn't stem from, just stop going to church. I was always in first to third position in my primary school days. So when I went to secondary school, I came 17th in class. Not by virtue of me performing poorly, because I had about something percent. Something percent is not poor. But my report card said I was 17, and my father's deduction from that was that I was too involved in church activities, so I didn't have time to focus on my education. So it was a plausible reason for my mom. But I imagine that if that was not the reason my dad gave them, maybe my dad was saying that I was getting too serious with church. Maybe it wasn't even because, maybe he actually saw my 87% and he said, okay, let me use this tactic to get this girl out of this case. We never can tell. I'm sure at this discussion that if we were to be alike, I would have asked him. But yeah, maybe that was why he thought, and he said, okay, let me use this avenue too. Because when I stopped, my younger ones also stopped going to church. So they only started going to church when they were bigger and, in a better position to go by themselves. Because I used to go for week services and all those choir parties are non-existent. So yes, you can't, the man shouldn't go to work with the wife. Maybe he gets a creative reason why the kids shouldn't go to church. Maybe enroll them in other activities. Maybe enroll them in boxing. Maybe they should start going for athletics, training, and all of those things. The time they should be out of school and going to church, they will use it for other extracurricular activities. And I don't think any mom who actually loves her kids would frown at the children not being in church for indoctrination. So that means they only get to go to church on Sunday. And if you're crafty and focused about it, you also teach them something different every Sunday.
I get that. Thank you very much for that response. I'll hand the mic over now to our guest co-host, Mr. Adeoye.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brendan. To be honest, I really felt your reply there. What is one thing you can say that you still do? One or two things you still do that when you like for example, we have some atheists who still enjoy gospel music. Some of them still enjoy, in fact, some still enjoy just going to church. It's funny, but some still do. Is there anything at all that you enjoy doing as a Christian that you still do as an atheist?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things I still do that would be seen as religious. I am not a musician, but I actually enjoy singing, and I sing a lot. And I could be singing, Daddy be up and walk on through and switch to So I have been called out at work for singing or even listening to music and singing to it, and everybody will say, look at this one that does not go to church, making use of our song anyhow. And the church I grew up in, that when I was younger, they actually create their songs. So their songs are particular to them. So when I sing those songs that I learned when I was younger, people don't. Sometimes you might get the gist eventually, maybe when I mention God or something, but people don't really know that it's a Christian song. So yeah, that it's music. It's something. It's straightforward for those that I understand the word in it. And if I hit my leg to that, it's like, oh my God, what is this? So I don't know. I think there's still a part of me that is already used to, whatever we were taught prior to me being an atheist. Yes, but anything I do now, maybe I just do it subconsciously. I don't pray. If you tell me God bless me, depending on the situation, I might respond an amen. Depending on it, I might tell you thank you. But I understand that people will tell me God bless me from a place of love, or from a place of care, or from a place of appreciation. So it's not really an issue. So I think, yeah, there are a lot of things I do that might still seem religious, but it's never been done from a religious place. No.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Fabes, it's like you still have one more question to ask, right?
Yeah, I do. And that's going to be the final question. Thank you, Jackson, for your response to that question. What will it take for you to return to being religious again?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
You mean, so maybe when Yahweh appears in the sky, you still won't be religious?
Okay, so then it would be me accepting that, oh, there's actually a God. I can see this God. But then if it's this Christian God that is going to appear, I will still tell the God that, okay, I've seen you, but your ways are not my ways. Like, I cannot be you. And I would be okay for somebody that ate apple back in the days. Even our law as human, as faulty as our law is, we don't punish the brother of the person that committed the crime. We don't punish the son of the person that committed the crime. How come an all-knowing father? You will let the person that ate apple, the people that ate apple, they have to say, and you are punishing us. What did I do? I didn't do anything. So you get. So if it's this God, I don't know, maybe Buddha or one God from another religion will appear, I don't know. But if it's this Christian God that will appear, we still cancel. It's cancel. God should go and look for that.
This is quite funny. All right, thank you for your response. And I think that does it for today. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast. I would like to get one final word from Brendan.
All right, Jackson, thank you very much for honoring our invitation to be on our show and sharing your views and encounters on atheism and your other experiences that may have not been on atheism as well. Thank you very much for having to share that with us. We really appreciate, and thank you very much once more.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, Mr. Adeoye. I hope I'm not dealing with your name on this podcast. Just go ahead.
Yeah, we find you. Just relax. I will talk about that one later. It's okay. Later we'll talk about that one. All right, Ms. Jackson, I really enjoyed tonight's conversation. Will I say confessions? To be honest, I think many people would enjoy listening to what you said tonight, and it could really, in a way, impact their lives to act right and live better lives. And also thank you, Ms. Jackson, for everything you said tonight. Have a wonderful night. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, so it's been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure being on this show. I couldn't have had a better host and a better co-host for this program. questions were asked, voices were heard, and I believe this is a platform that is going to go places in the long run. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, thank you. Jackson, do you have recommendations or some things you feel we could, improve to make this podcast better?
In respect to this podcast, one thing I can suggest for you guys to try out is being a little bit more in sync while asking your questions, because I noticed that one person always makes it obvious that, this person is supposed to take the next question. But I also understand that you're not exactly in the same space, but you can have like an unofficial chat box that when one person has asked a question and your guest is answering it, you can just prompt between yourselves to say, this is the person, you please take the next question. So it's not coming out. I don't know if the editing involves all of this prompting, so it's not coming out as if you're always saying, guest host, please take this question. We already know there is a guest host and a co-host and the main host. I don't know if that's something that can be worked on, or if it's not a problem, then it's fine. But that's my observation from interviews and meetings that has a panel of some sort with people that they're asking questions. It just sort of flows into each other. Maybe they already have questions in place that they want to ask or something. Yeah, that's it. But it's been a wonderful show, and I've actually enjoyed talking for a long period of time. Yeah.
All right, so thank you so much for that recommendation. Well, actually, the reason why we do say, okay, the mic is over to you, Brandon, it's more like, okay, so the person, it's a virtual podcast, so that's why we do that. But then, assuming we are in a studio, it's going to be different. But then, thank you so much for that recommendation. We are going to look into that. I think everybody can turn on their mic now and say goodbye.
I am right now.
Have a nice night.
Bye, man.
Thank you very much. Good night, everyone. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much and good night. All right, so after listening to that, what do you have to say? Drop us a comment in the comment section below. You can as well follow us on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Spotify. All right, so thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.